Hey guys, welcome back. Today we're going to be working on absolute value inequalities. So our first task is our attendance task. Make sure that you completed that review quizzes. If you haven't done it already, make sure that you do so. Today's video lesson, and then we'll have a review quizzes after this. All right, so the first thing I want to take a look at, there's going to be two different types of inequalities when we're working with absolute values, right? So these are going to be almost like our or ands, but it's just going to kind of look a little bit different, right? So if we have something like these, where we have a less than symbol, or a less than or equal to symbol, right? We can write it as this. So it's kind of like you keep what's in here for your first term, and then you switch, right? For these ones, if we have a greater than symbol, these are going to be or situations. All right, I'll take a look at and see what's going on with that. All right, so a couple of examples to kind of illustrate that. So our first case, right? So we have the absolute value of x is greater than or equal to 5, right? So first thing we're going to do is we're going to have x is going to be greater than or equal to 5 for our first term. Because remember, with absolute values, we got to take like the positive version and the negative version too, all right? And then this one is going to be x, and we're going to switch this, then we're going to switch this. All right, so let's plot that and see what we get. Since we have that equal sign, it's going to be a closed circle. So first we're going to find 5, right? And then we have going like that. All right. And then for this one, since we have less than negative 5, and it's going to be a closed circle. And then our less than terms, we get that. All right, so for this case, we're going to have parentheses, negative infinity, comma, negative 5. Since it's included, we'll make it a bracket. Or, and then we have a bracket 5, comma, infinity. All right, so let's take a look at this one. All right, so we have our first case, so we have x is less than 8. And then we have our second one, x, because we're just going to keep, switch, it's greater than or equal to negative 8. Right? So less than 8. So we're going to make that a closed circle. All right, so that's all of these values. I'm going to change colors real quick. Then we have greater than negative 8. So we're going to have this. And it's going to be these. All right, so all the values that are inside this area would be our solutions, right? So we can get rid of this part because those aren't part of our solution set. So this top one would be an or. This would be an and. All right? So we know that negative 8 less than or equal to x, which is less than or equal to positive 8. That's how we would do those for those. Okay? So what this shows us is absolute value inequalities are really just like compound inequalities, right? So a less than is going to give you an and. A greater than is going to give you an or statement, right? See how our greater than gave us an or, and then our less than gave us an and statement, right? So or means that they don't meet in the middle. And means they do meet in the middle. All right, so steps to solve. We're going to isolate the value expression, right? So we're going to isolate that absolute value. And then we're going to create two cases. They called it the KISS method, which is keep it, switch, switch, to set up the two cases. Then we'll solve, and then we'll graph. All right, so let's see what we got. So we have a less than, so we know it's going to be an and situation. So it's already isolated. So we have our first case, and then we'll have our second case. So we keep, switch, switch. All right, and so then we just graph less than 7. So we have our circle here. We also know that it's going to be open. All right, so we have that over here. We're going to use different color. So greater than -7. So we have greater than, and then we have it over here. So that would be our solution set. So this is going to be an AND statement, right? So we know that, let's see, our lowest value, so -7, and then we make x greater than that, and then we have that that's less than our top number, just like we would normally with these. All right, so we're just rewriting these to make it fit, right? Because remember, x still greater than 7, but it's also still less than 7. All right, let's take a look at our next one. So we have a greater than or equal to. So this is going to give us an OR statement, right? So they're going to split. So our first case, x is going to be greater than or equal to 4. Second case is going to be x is going to be less than or equal to -4. That keeps switch, switch. All right, so then we just graph. So this is going to be a closed circle, so greater than. All right, this is going to be a closed circle, less than. All right, so we have parentheses, -infinity, comma, -4, bracket, or bracket 4, comma, infinity, parentheses. All right. X minus 1 is going to be greater than 6. All right, so this is already isolated, so we're going to keep this. So this is our first one. And then our second one is we're going to keep what's in that absolute value. Then we're going to switch, and then we're going to switch. All right, then we just solve. So we add 6 to each side, or add +1. And then it's going to be x is going to be greater than 5. So we have 5 over here, like that. And then we add 1 to each side on this case. So x is going to be less than -5. All right, and we do it like that. So we have an OR statement, because we have that greater than, right? So we have parentheses, -infinity, comma. Whoop. I just realized I made a mistake. This is supposed to be -5. Good morning, everybody. There you go. So, -5. Since it's parentheses, because it doesn't include that -5. All right. Let's try our next one. This is less than. So this is going to give us an AND statement. So they're going to meet. So our first case. Then our second case. All right, let's solve. So we're going to subtract 2 from each side. So x is going to be less than or equal to 5. So we have 5. It's going to go this way. All right, and for this one, we're going to subtract. So this would be greater than or equal to -9. So we have it like this. And then we just have that. And that would be our solution set. So we just put that in our interval notation. So we have -9 for our greater value. We can write it like 5 in there, and then we're just going to put this inside of it. All right, whichever way works best for you. Whenever you have that, an OR situation, remember, it's always going to be less than, so you're just going to reuse those symbols. All right. believe these are the last two problems that we have. Okay, so we isolate, so it's already isolated in this case. So we have 2x plus 5 is greater than or equal to 3. And then our second case, 2x plus 5 is going to be less than or equal to negative 3. All right. So what we do, subtract 5 minus 5, 2x greater than or equal to what? Negative 2. And then we subtract, or not subtract, we divide. So x is going to be greater than or equal to negative 1. So we have to find negative 1. We know that that's filled in. Boom. All right. I know that this one's going a little bit longer. We only have these two examples. All right. So subtract 5. Subtract 5. 2x less than or equal to negative 8. Divide by 2. X is going to be less than or equal to negative 4. So we find negative 4, and then we go less than. Negative infinity, comma, negative 4, bracket, 4, bracket, negative 1, comma, infinity. All right, last one. First thing we got to do, we got to isolate our absolute variable. So we're going to add 1 to each side. So our absolute value is x plus 3, and then we have less than 6. So our first case, x plus 3 is less than 6. Second case is going to be, x plus 3 is going to be greater than negative 6. So then we can just solve, we'll solve the green first since I'm already on it. So minus 3, x is going to be greater than, let's see what, negative 9. So we have our negative 9, whoop, it's going to be closed, or it's open. All right, so it's going to be greater than, all right. And then we subtract 3, minus 3. X is going to be less than, what, positive 3. So we have over here, and it'd be this value that meets with both of them. All right, interval of notation, so we have negative 9. Oh, what am I doing? So we have negative 9, 3, and then we're going to put x inside it. Done. All right, so I'd like you to do a little bit of practice. It's only 4 questions. If you have any questions or concerns, please reach out to me. I will be available via Google Hangouts, text. If you want to give me a call on my number that's on Google Classroom, that's fine too. All the normal methods. I'll also be on Google Meet if you wanted to hop in and ask some questions. Thanks, guys.